What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the rich.
Hey guys, what's up?
They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel it.
I no longer want a Cybertruck. I saw the new GMC pickup truck, the EV. Dude, that thing's cool. That thing's cool as shit. Looks nice. It's got a like a mid gate to where like you have a 6-foot bed, but you get 2 foot more inside, and like the whole wall comes down. It's crazy looking. Yeah, the Sierra, like the GMC's version of Silverado. It's pretty bad. I can't afford any of them. I'm just dreaming, but it's a cool truck. I'll show you the review of it in just a second. There's that. That's the timer. Roll the intro. Let's go.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. I know I'm super late. It's been a tough day. It's 1 year since my dad passed away. Plus, I just try to stay busy at work and not think about it. I've been digging a hole looking for a leak on our water system, and I found one leak and fixed it. And where the water was leaking out, like basically where it was building up, nothing happened for like 30 minutes almost. I think it was like 28 minutes. And then suddenly it started leaking again. It was infiltrating that hole from somewhere else. Found another leak, but I found it right at the end of the day. It was like probably like 7:30 when I found it 8. So I just picked everything up, shut it down, fix it tomorrow. I want to see this. This caught my attention. By the way, thank you for joining us. I'm Will. This is the Cold Break Confessional. Yeah, thanks for coming and hanging out. I want to see this right here. Donald Trump explains inflation.
This is tic-tac. This is inflation. This is what's happened. So, this is tic-tacs, right? I don't know if I like the company. I've never met. I have no idea. They're so lucky. Look at all the television.
I have no idea. They're so like he only likes the company if their CEO worships him. You can't just tell us if you like Tic Tacs, dude. I don't know if I like the company. I've never met their CEO. Yeah, I get it. I've never met the CEO of any fucking company, but I still like some of their shit.
This is the greatest commercial they ever had.
That's like, there's like 3 mints over here. Hold on. Is this a real thing? This is called shrinkflation, actually. Trump says Tic Tacs are shrinking and bacon is vanishing. He blames wind power but promises to defeat inflation in 1 year. Jesus Christ.
But that's what happened. This is inflation. This is Tic Tac. This is Tic Tac. This is inflation. This is what's happened. I just happened to have some.
I think this was when he was in Asheville, which I should have went to. This would have been awesome. He was in Asheville not long ago, but he was like in this tiny ass little arena. I'd probably been one of the assholes that got stuck outside. Goff's script was on full display. He used Tic Tac boxes to illustrate the effects of inflation, holding up 2 different sizes to show how product quantities have shrunk while prices have increased. This visual demonstration attempted to make complex economic concepts more relatable. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this. I had to look it up when someone told me, and this was back when I liked Trump, right? And I didn't want to believe it. But so Trump speaks a lot, and different data analysts have analyzed his speech patterns. So Trump speaks at like a 4th grade equivalent level, okay? Like a 4th grader. And a lot of times the people he's speaking to understand at like an elementary school level. And they think, he talks just like me. He doesn't hold nothing back. He's just like me. But he's not, right? He's a multimillionaire. And maybe he puts on airs. Maybe he does it worse. I've heard he has a super low IQ, and that's why he's always bragging about IQ, and he speaks at a 4th grade level. But even if he's playing it up, like even if he's doing this on purpose, and when he's not on camera, he's super fucking smart or whatever.
Smart has just resubscribed for 17 months.
Thank you very much for the resubscription. Even if he's playing that up, still it works for his audience, right? He basically energized people that didn't vote before, right? He got a whole lot of first-time voters or haven't voted in a long time voters.
Somebody gave me this one today. I said, I think we'll put it up as an example of inflation. This is Tic Tac. This is Tic Tac. This is Tic Tac. This is
Very good example, sir. He's got to have people running around. He's got to have people running around doing this. The very good example, sir. Very good example. I couldn't think of a better example. I'm not saying this. You're saying this. The Tic Tacs are getting smaller. Oh, I want to see this. Okay, is that not a real page? It should be.
Yep, I see you, Susie. Ashley did great, as always. Yes, she did. You know who?
I do want to show you guys this truck I was talking about. It's pretty badass. One day I'll be able to afford one like this, but I think it was this. Was it this one?
Check this out. In the GMC Sierra EV, you can fold these seats up and fold this part down. That way you can press this button and extend this part of your truck bed. But if that's not enough, you could do the same thing on the other side to increase the opening. Now to
Dude, that mid gate is cool. It gives you like another 2-foot of bed. So now you got a full 8-foot bed if you're hauling like sheets of plywood. And then if it's bigger than that or like a full stack, you can bring down this whole wall. Look at this.
Next level, you can pull these 2 latches, which will bring down this panel. Once you press this button, so you can take it out, place it over here, and lock it in place. That way, when you press the same button, it'll bring the whole wall down to get a giant opening.
Dude, that is huge right there for like storage and shit. And I'm sure people will come up with like cool storage options for it. But basically, all you have is this almost like a roll bar that goes across the back. And then you could probably fit, I don't know, 40 sheets of plywood in there? That's insane. And it's like rated at like 700 some horsepower. It's electric. It's got, the front's pretty cool. I like the looks of it a lot. My dad was a big Chevrolet fan, and his dad too. And I love my Duramax, but I got rid of it to get a house, but that didn't work out. But anyways, I like Chevrolets.
The truck bed. Now, yes, this existed on the Chevy Avalanche beforehand, but they brought it to the GMC Sierra EV to extend the utility of the truck bed. That's because once you set this down, you take what's initially a 5'11" truck bed and increase its capacity to now fit items up to 10 feet 10 inches long once you lift this load stop.
So with the tailgate down, you got 10 foot 10 inches. That's a huge amount of carrying capacity for a short bed truck. A lot of people don't like long bed trucks. I don't like long bed trucks. I think they look weird. But that's a huge capacity, 10 foot, 10 inches.
So this load stop is a part of the multi-pro tailgate. So you can set it down, lift it up like this, and press this button to use this part as a workbench, or raise the load stop to get a higher one. Or you can drop that section and bring down that same panel to use as a step, making it
old man step
into the truck bed. And what the Avalanche never had was a large 17-inch touchscreen with built-in Google Maps, a wireless
The touchscreen looks amazing. I mean, it was cool as shit. I'm just afraid that it would break.
charger you can slide out of the way to give you some storage space. Cup holders you can slide out of the way to give you even more storage space. A heated leather wrap steering wheel with Super Cruise for hand.
I even kind of like this little gauge tablet thing, but again, something that'll break. I would like to see what their. I'm sure they'll make this in a what would they call it? Like a commercial model, like a work truck model.
Hands-free driving on the highway, a large center screen, and a heads-up display. Check this out. In the GMC,
this wasn't the review I watched earlier, but I think it was the same guy. He was talking about a Cybertruck versus this.
This right here is the GMC Sierra EV, and it'll make your Home Depot trips a lot easier.
Yeah, this is the one I saw.
Where you can lift this part of the seat up, pull this part of the seat down, and press this button to extend your truck bed into your cabin. Or you can bring down this entire wall to get one large opening. And up front is a large 17-inch touch.
Holy shit, when he did it that time, there was nothing there.
You can bring
I thought there was a bar before.
To get one
Look, there's not even a bar across there. I thought when he took it out before there was a bar. I might have been seeing, I guess, the bed rail maybe.
large opening.
That's huge now. That's like a full wrap of plywood, like they stack it 4 foot tall or whatever.
And up front is a large 17-inch touchscreen with Google Maps built in, a wireless charger and cup holder that slide out of the way to give you deep.
I like how EVs have outlets everywhere too. There's a lot of times where I'm like, do I want to run an extension cord? And a lot of times I would rather suffer with a hand tool than run an extension cord somewhere. Battery powered shit always needs charge. That would help with the outlets.
Storage space as well as USB-C ports, and there's Super Cruise, so you could drive hands-free as well as tow hands-free. There's also a panoramic glass roof, these heated and ventilated leather seats with Denali embroidered in the headrest, a heated leather wrap steering
This is the Denali package. This is easily a $100,000 truck.
wheel, a large center screen, and a heads-up display. And
And I bet you lose a bunch of these features if you go to like a lower model.
as far as range goes, it could drive up to 440 miles on a full charge, make 754 horsepower, and can tow up to 10,000 pounds. And honestly, it looks better.
I just don't travel super far, so like, I know maybe other people do, but if you told me I get almost fucking 500 miles off a full charge, okay, that's cool with me.
Better than a Cybertruck with these.
What am I gonna do with the other 490 miles? I do like the grill and
GMC
stuff.
letters, sharp LED headlights, and these 24-inch wheels. Now, once I press on this button here, it opens up the front storage compartment where you get a power outlet over here, 2 cup holders, and a drain hole. And as far as the truck bed goes, it's nearly 6 feet long, and you get 5 power outlets here you can plug in your equipment to, and this can power.
That one's a 30 amp, like a generator plug.
This also has crab
Power your house.
the Hummer EV, and it has rear wheel steering. And I want to know if you would take this over a Cybertruck.
Does crab mode and rear wheel steering. I think that's limited to under a certain speed, though. I'm pretty sure you can't throw it in crab mode on the interstate.
Because this right here is the GMC Sierra.
It's a cool looking truck. I watched that review and I was like, I like that more than the Cybertruck. The Cybertruck's more like a, I don't mind the Cybertruck, but it's more like a, I got fuck you money. So I'm gonna reserve a Cybertruck. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about tonight. Tim Pool on full defense right now. Why am I getting so many followers? I don't know. Maybe the Russians sent him. So he's added Ukraine and Israeli flag to his name. He's trying to play this off like it's a big fucking joke or something. He shares Cenk Uyghur's agree with an online right-winger, 2%, their reaction. Welcome to the party. MAGA welcomes you. Agree with an online leftist, only 98% of the time, Nazi. He says, Slava, Ukraine. He shares a Benny Johnson post. New Democrat voting pollster Nate Silver releases new presidential prediction model showing commanding Trump lead, 60-40, from Nate Silver. I have been contacted by the FBI as a potential victim of a crime. The FBI believes I have information relevant to an ongoing criminal investigation and have requested a voluntary interview. I will be offering my assistance in this matter. Look, Tim's not an idiot, right? He runs a successful YouTube channel, and he knows what his YouTube channel makes. So if they're paying Tim $400,000 a month, right? They're paying Benny Johnson. If he just assumed they're paying Benny Johnson more because Benny Johnson has a bigger channel, and even if they're paying Lauren Southern and those people fractions of that, and they're bringing in $100,000 a month, he knew that didn't make sense, right? They were just handing him money hand over fist. I remember back when they said I was funded by the CIA. Then it was right-wingers. Now it's the Russians. Tomorrow it'll be, I don't know, like Poland or something. Yeah, but they, in this sentence, when they said I was funded by the CIA, they said I was funded by the right-wingers, that was just people online. Now they is the Department of Justice. And they, the Department of Justice, says you're funded by Russians. This is, I don't know why you're trying to make this is just factual, right? Russia, Moscow paid you, right? Like, you can say, I didn't change my content, I would have said the same thing. I think that makes it worse because you're just a useful idiot. But you can say all those things, but they did pay you, right? There's no doubt that they paid you. Unless all the research in the indictment is all just made up. Like, they're just like, let's ruin Tim Pool and Benny Johnson's day. Yeah, they said it. It's the truth. The Russians were paying you. Quite a bit, it seems. Rate of women. Kamala, I will direct the DOJ to censor misinformation and hate online. Lichtman predicts a Harris victory. Harris will beat Trump, says election prediction. Alan Lichtman. Why am I gaining so many followers? Threat to democracy, threat to bureaucracy. From Elon Musk. Colorado law firm reports claims Venezuelan gang has stranglehold. We saw some of this. So here's what you have to take into account. Remember how we were talking about the Venezuelan gangs that took over the apartment buildings and no one could seem to find them? The law firm that did the report is for the lender for the apartment building. So if the lender no longer wants to do business for whatever reason with the owner that took out the loan to buy these apartment buildings, let's say its interest is too high, they think they make more money off the lot, whatever, right? If the lender no longer wants to do business with the apartment building owner, the lender's law firm is probably not the most trustworthy source. If the police are going there and saying, yeah, there's been some gang activity, but they definitely didn't take over the building. And then the lender's law firm is like, oh, it's taken over by Venezuelan gangs. We know. Blah. Right. They were threatening officers that responded. And apparently there was an issue where they threatened a maid for keys to empty a house cleaner or something for keys to empty apartments. They also approached the management of the apartment and said that they would help them provide security, help them collect rent and shit for half their rent or something. That's all in the law firm's report. I don't know. Just kind of strange. Everybody's got their spin on things. I'm now pro-war. We must fund Israel and Ukraine. Temple, of course, playing the idiot. Hi, Mom. Upon reflection, I now understand that Ukraine is our greatest ally. Is this... Here's the problem. Is this what people were saying? So people were saying, Russia's horrible. They shouldn't be invading a foreign sovereign nation just to rebuild the USSR. They put people in there to sow dissent and start a civil war. They took Crimea already. Were people saying that Ukraine was our greatest ally? No one was saying that. Tim Pool comes out and says they're our greatest enemy and the greatest enemy to the free world. But no one was saying Ukraine is our greatest ally. This is like people saying oh, well, we shouldn't be mean just because someone's trans, right? And then me being I guess I'll cut my dick off and just be trans now because I'm an ally. It's the over-the-top reaction. As the breadbasket of Europe and peace-loving people, we cannot allow the fascist Russians to continue their crimes against humanity. We must redouble our efforts and provide an additional $200 billion at once. It looks like everyone I know is either a Russian asset or a Fed. Michael Malice, Mossad agent. My statement regarding the allegation. We read his statement yesterday. I'm the victim in this. Guys, I'm the victim in this. What's crazy is like the post right before that, boom, he was just sharing it. Actually, if you go over to Tenet Media, they're not posting. I wonder why. Weird. Let's see what the last thing they posted was.
And speaking as the daughter, and I'll try not to tear up here, of a man, the best dad, amusing businesswoman. He was an ultimate feminist, a really kind soul, my best friend. He was also a lifelong Republican, my dad. So to me, this is not about party. It's really about values.
Oh, so she misspoke and said businesswoman instead of businessman. You got us, Tenet Media.
Inclusion, I think everybody agrees. I think, when people say diversity and inclusion, I think everybody agrees, or most people generally agree that it's a good thing, right? But I think right now we also need to bring in the word equity, right? Diversity is when you say that there's, many different types of people with different backgrounds and they're all, invited to the table. Inclusion is when, we include all of their ideas.
Especially when they're not only do they receive millions of dollars, but their handlers, I think, so 9.7, I don't think the channel was making any money. It couldn't have been. There's no way. It just wasn't big enough for that apparatus. Instead, it was just being funded by Russians. But not only did they receive that money, but they were getting like notes about like, you need to share on our page earlier, share this cringy Tucker Carlson walking around a Russian supermarket. Lauren Chan knew, and her friend, Liam or whatever, they knew that it was the Russians. They literally were Googling stuff like, what time is it in Moscow so I can see when I'm going to get paid, or when they talk to the boss or whatever, right? And when they were talking to each other, talked about billing the Russians, charging the Russians. Joe Rogan, the no disinformation page is complete without a Joe Rogan clip.
First Amendment is allowing people to say things that aren't true, misinformation and disinformation, and we're right here. We're September 2nd. I think
it depends. So there's a clip of Tim Pool. I'm sorry. There's a clip of Tim Walz talking about misinformation and hate speech. But he's talking about that's not covered under the First Amendment. Now, misinformation and hate speech a lot of times is covered under the First Amendment. But what he's actually talking about, they conveniently clip it before he's asked the question. What he's actually talking about is people lying about like how to register to vote, where to vote, election dates. People lying, trying to subvert the election and spreading false misinformation online. And he's like, that's certainly not protected by the First Amendment, which is not. It's a crime.
And we're right here. We're September 2nd. I think yesterday was the first day where Brazil banned Twitter.
I know.
So X is illegal to have in Brazil as of today, as of yesterday. And not only is it illegal.
I wonder why they've never talked about all the illegal apps that you can't have in Russia or you can't have in China. They seem to be real big on Brazil now.
Legal, but you go through it through a VPN and they will charge you $8,000 a day.
I know. It's incredible that we are watching this.
Insane. First Amendment is allowing people to say things that aren't true, misinformation and disinformation. And we're right here. We're September 2nd.
So the Brazil ban, okay? As billionaire Elon Musk clashed with the Brazilian Supreme Court justice came to a head last week, where there were legal twists, insults, ultimatums, defiance, and then finally capitulation. When the digital dust settled, X had become an X. Musk's social media platform was banned nationwide, and Justice Alexandre de Moraes set a whopping $9,000 daily fine for anyone using VPN to skirt the suspension. Brazil's X users left casting about for a new platform, mostly started washing up on Threads and Blue Sky. Hello, literally everyone in Brazil. Shauna Wright posted on Threads the day de Moraes ordered X's suspension. Everyone hadn't been on X. Brazil's social masses are primarily on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, but X had an outsized influence in terms of newsmakers, agenda setting, and thought leaders. It was a local battleground of the global culture war and the peanut gallery for soccer games and reality shows, especially Big Brother. So as X went dark in this highly online country of 213 million, its users started migrating. Wright's post was an inside joke for fellow former employees of the company then known as Twitter, and an homage to its award-winning post, Meta's blah, blah, blah. It took off even among those who didn't get the reference, but they didn't have to. Meta launched Threads, opening a Threads account. More Brazilians went to Blue Sky, a lesser-known platform that not only looks and feels very much like the former Twitter, but also grew out of it. The pet project of former CEO Jack Dorsey was supposed to replace it eventually. Whether it can remains to be seen, but Brazilians have started going there. Good morning, everyone. Our mental health is already showing signs of improvement. Blue Sky has been posting in Portuguese to get Brazilians situated and find those whom they previously shared connection with. In some ways, it strengthens. Some compare Blue Sky. I don't want to know about this. I want to know Blue Sky, our established social networks, TikTok, Facebook. I want to know what led up to all this. I've heard from other people, but I want to see why, what the news says. Okay. Elon Musk uses X to push his own story about the platform suspension in Brazil. X was banned in Brazil after the company refused to comply with judicial rulings, but Musk has reframed the decision as an authoritarian shutdown on free speech. Elon Musk and X are using social media platforms' resources to rally support and spread legally questionable talking points about Brazilian Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes after he suspended X's availability in the country. The suspension came after X failed to appoint a legal representative in the country to manage orders and requests from Brazil courts pertaining to content moderation. Musk refused to comply with de Moraes' judicial orders to remove disinformation from the platform under Brazil's speech laws. So they're asking every company that operates there apparently has to abide by their laws. And one of their laws has to do with moderation. Brazil speech laws. He wouldn't even appoint a person to handle this. But through the mobilization of his platform and large following there, Musk has worked to spread his own ideas about the ruling, including the belief that de Moraes is usurping due process and democracy to crack down on free speech. Musk and X have used the platform itself to amplify their interpretation of events, spreading misleading information about how the law and government work in Brazil in the process. Posts from Brazilian academics and journalists shedding light on the situation have gained far less traction, while Musk's fan base and his conservative allies have continued to drum up negative sentiment toward de Moraes. The result is an information divide that leaves X users navigating two different realities about why X was banned in Brazil, depending on whether their feed is influenced by Musk or people who oppose them. In the wake of Brazil's ruling, X has created an official X-affiliated account called the Alexandre Files that appeared on August 31st with Musk planning a daily data dump from the account. The account has posted 21 times so far and brought in over 124 million views and more than 377,000 followers, with posts referring to de Moraes' ruling as unlawful, illegal, and abuses of Brazilian law. In the unredacted, formally sealed judicial orders sent to X by de Moraes and then published by X, sensitive personal information of individuals referred to in the case, including Brazil's version of social security numbers, were exposed. So he's throwing out people's social security numbers. The orders sent by de Moraes referred to a takedown request, a post that it described as intimidation and exposure of law enforcement officials and their families, including their underage children. So the court's saying what we want you to take down. Now, this might not be true, but what the court side says is we want you to take down this intimidation and exposure of law enforcement officials and their families, including their underage children. Musk has also targeted the judge from his personal X account, the most followed on the platform, calling him the fake judge, Brazil's Voldemort, and a criminal. Musk has also called for de Moraes to be imprisoned and for the U.S. government to stop sending foreign aid to Brazil and to seize Brazilian government assets. What the fuck? Remember when Musk got mad because they told him that his electric submarine idea wouldn't work to rescue that soccer team trapped in the cave, so he just called one of the divers a pedophile? He doesn't seem like he has a good grasp on his anger. Our laws pertaining to free speech are different from the First Amendment in this country, the same way Europe has very different understandings, said David Nimmer, an associate professor of media studies at the University of Virginia, who is from Brazil and has studied misinformation and the rise of Brazilian far right. In Brazil, hate speech is not protected. So Brazil does have a problem with like Nazis, right? Like a far right contingent. In Brazil, if someone posts misinformation or defamation about a candidate on social media, the country's Supreme Electoral Court can compel them to remove it, Nimmer said. During the 2022 presidential elections in Brazil, he added, there were digital militias that orchestrated all kinds of misinformation and disinformation campaigns to delegitimize the electoral process. Sounds familiar. They would say things like, the voting machines were hacked. Don't trust the outcome. Oh, no. Oh, no. Brazil's little America. Niemer said, comparing the rhetoric to the 2020 presidential election denialism in the U.S. He added that Brazil even had its own version of January 6 insurrection in the U.S., with Brazil's capital uprising occurring in 2023. Some of the X accounts investigated by Demores belonged to elected officials and prominent business leaders, not unlike how some officials and business leaders in the U.S. have pushed election denialism. But in Brazil, doing so is illegal. If the person doesn't take the post down, the court will order the platform to take the post down, Niemer said. If the platform does not do so, then the platform becomes criminally and civilly responsible for the post as well. So they're just asking them to comply with their laws, and Musk refuses, right? But if you operate in Brazil, you might not like Brazil laws, but if you operate in Brazil, if you're available to Brazil, then you have to comply with their laws. Other Brazilian experts and journalists have also spoken out against Musk's narrative on X. Natalie Viana, co-founder of the Brazilian investigative media outlet, Agencia Publica, posted Twitter. It was blocked in Brazil because Brazilian law states that any social media company operating in Brazil has to have a legal representative in the country. Elon Musk purposefully decided not to comply, but so Elon Musk is like, they want to attack free speech. They want to do that. He hasn't even had a representative there. So he has no idea what they want taken down and what they want left up. He doesn't even have a person working there like he's required to. He decided not to comply. But there are laws in other countries, too, besides the U.S., you know. Don't fall for Musk's censorship and PR stunt. He complies with all the EU standards. Kind of weird. Right? EU has had a bunch of different standards. That's why you always, every time you go to a new website, you get that stupid fucking warning for their cookies or whatever. That's an EU thing. And their privacy policy statements had to be updated and a bunch of stuff. A bunch of websites, if anybody from Europe can find your website, there was a bunch of updates you had to do to it to comply with a lot of their standards. Elon Musk does that. Joa Brandt, Brazil's Security of Digital Policies, posted, X Twitter is being suspended in Brazil by court order from the Supreme Federal Court. Also, after repeated failures to comply with judicial decisions. The suspension affects 20 million users in Brazil, but it was the measure courts understood as necessary to enforce Brazilian law. The Brazilian civil rights framework for the internet states that platforms are not responsible for third-party content, but can be held liable if they fail to comply with court orders. So the same way, like if someone live streams like a mass unaliving event on Facebook, they're not reliable for it. But if they don't pull it down in Brazil, then they're liable for it. Disregarding court orders means, in fact, complacency with crimes on the platforms, Brandt continued. It is worth remembering that the suspension is temporary until the company complies with the court orders, pays the fines due, and designates a representative in Brazil. In other words, the reestablishment of the service depends solely on the company itself. Musk's campaign against Brazil's social media laws has operated in tandem with his support of Donald Trump's re-election campaigns. Musk has claimed that if Vice President Kamala Harris wins, the U.S. could restrict speech in the ways Brazil does. I think that's his spin. I was going to say that at the end of this if the article didn't mention it. I think his big thing is Brazil banned us because you don't have free speech in Brazil, and if Donald Trump doesn't win, they're going to ban us in the U.S. Because I've seen him post that, right? Not comparing us to Brazil, but saying, like, we're going to be banned in the U.S. If Kamala Harris wins, we're done. Trying to get people who like Twitter to vote for Trump. The Alexandre files also echoes Musk's earlier attempts at claiming that Twitter's previous employees worked with the Democratic Party in the U.S. to suppress conservative accounts. This is not true. In the similar document dump called the Twitter files. The Twitter files, basically the most offensive thing that happened was a Republican asked Musk to take something down, or asked Twitter to take something down. In both cases, some of Musk's characterizations of the documents are not accurate, but he uses his large following, the X platform itself, and his support base to push his narrative. Niemer said that Musk and far-right politicians in Brazil are working in each other's interests, with the politicians using X to spread disinformation and Musk potentially benefiting from their legislative power and support of his companies. They want Musk, somebody who is very powerful and very known, to also challenge de Moraes as a way to delegitimize de Moraes' power. Niemer said, by helping these far-right politicians, Musk can rest assured that no regulation that would touch social media would pass because these politicians won't let it. After Musk took over Twitter in 2022, the platform stopped its years-long practice of publishing aggregated transparency reports for government and other legal requests it received. During his leadership, Musk has complied with a majority of takedown requests from authoritarian governments, including India, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia, where some officials hold the second largest investor stake in X. So he has no problem doing takedown requests for India, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia, but he can't do it for Brazil. In response to X's ban in Brazil, Niemer said that Musk made false statements like that Brazil is no longer a democracy, that the Supreme Electoral Court is working in tandem with President Lula da Silva, and that there is no way to challenge or appeal to Moraes' decision. He's only doing this because he's got the backing of these far-right politicians, Niemer said. Niemer also said that the Alexandre Files account shifted the role of X from just publisher of user-generated content, the description under the U.S. law Section 230 that shields social media platforms from liability for what users post, to a communications platform like it. Yeah, that's true. So the only reason that social media platforms have 230 protection is they're just hosting. They're not making these posts. They just host what you post. But when they come out in a pro or anti stance politically, and they're the ones posting it, that changes a lot of things. I didn't think about that. Which are liable for the information they disseminate. There seems to be a shift in the paradigm here, where we're seeing X communicating with and informing or disinforming the public, Niemer said. It's already in trouble in Brazil. It gets the platform into some weird territory. While X ranked around 10th in social media platforms most used by Brazilians, Niemer said it was still useful for academics, journalists, politicians, celebrities, fandoms, and more. Although I understand and agree with what de Moraes is doing, I'm also bummed because Twitter was an important platform for me, he said. No one's really happy about it, but people who agree with Alexander de Moraes understand that there's an issue there of sovereignty, that Musk can't come and break the law and expect things to work for him no matter what. That's the full article there. Interesting. Seems like they're putting their spin on it for sure.
First Amendment is allowing people to say things that aren't true, misinformation and disinformation.
But the First Amendment doesn't have shit to do with Brazil, dude. Do you think that's a thing?
First Amendment is allowing people to say things that aren't true, misinformation and disinformation. And
what's the famous example of free speech is an absolute? Yelling fire in a building, right? You can't yell fire in a building because it stampede people to die, right? It's just something you can't do. You can't call in a bomb threat, right? That's just illegal. First of all, the First Amendment has nothing to do with Brazil. Second, it has nothing to do with private companies. It's to protect your speech from the government. The government can't restrict your speech.
First Amendment is allowing people to say things that aren't true, misinformation and disinformation. And we're right here. We're September 2nd. I think yesterday was the first day where Brazil banned Twitter.
I know.
So X.
Oh my God, the First Amendment in Brazil is probably shit now. I bet you they don't even know they got a First Amendment in Brazil.
In Brazil, as of today, as of yesterday, and not only is it illegal, but you go through it through a VPN, and they will charge you $8,000 a day.
I know. It's incredible that we are watching this.
Insane. First Amendment is allowing people to say things that aren't true.
So this is Tenet Media. This is the Russian media network.
He has lost his privileges, and it should be taken down. And the bottom line is that you can't say that you have one rule for Facebook and you have a different rule for Twitter. The same rule has to apply, which is that there has to be a responsibility that is placed on these social media.
I can almost guarantee you that Facebook's complying with Brazil, or they would be in the news as well.
Sites to understand their power. They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level of oversight.
If Elon Musk loves the free market and how it works, and this is this right, he doesn't comply. His company's not legally eligible to participate in Brazil without following Brazilian laws, right? So they're just gone, and another company will take his place, or they can comply.
Or regulation, and that has to stop. He has lost his privileges, and it should be taken down. And the bottom line is that you can't say that you have one rule for Facebook and you have a different rule for Twitter. The same rule has to apply, which is that there has to be a responsibility that is placed on these social media sites to understand their power. They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level.
I don't understand why he thinks he can break the laws there. Anyways, obviously, this is the Russian disinformation. This is Tenet Media. Now, Tenet Media has been pulled down from
disinformation.
Their shit is pulled down from YouTube. YouTube took them down today. The channel no longer exists. I know who will watch. You guys remember the time that Brazil reminded me of this somehow. You guys remember the time that Donald Trump forgot that he was president of the Virgin Islands? When he was like, I met with the president of the Virgin Islands. That's you, sir. I don't know. That's always been funny to me. Even when I liked Trump, it was funny.
Today, we are diving into a story that feels like it's straight out of the spy movie. We got covert operations, fake identities, Russian propaganda, and millions of dollars flowing through shadowy shell companies. But it's not a Hollywood thriller, which is funny because I'm in Hollywood right now. I'm actually in a hotel room in LA. I'm speaking at the 2024 Disaster Expo, sponsored by Oxygen Plus. And I'm speaking specifically about disinformation during a natural disaster because our adversaries.
I think Ron Macbeth shows Tim Pool here clearly being a Russian shill, right? And it's even it's worse that Tim Pool says, well, they never came to me. They never came to me and said, change your content. Yeah, because you were already spreading the misinformation that they wanted spread. That's worse. I would rather you be like, well, there is a guy I like there, and me and him often talk about politics, and he seems kind of pro-Russian, but he makes a lot of sense. At least that someone talked you into it. Now what you're telling me is you received an absurd amount of money to produce your content that you already fucking produced because you were already spreading the propaganda.
Will use disinformation during a natural disaster to cause chaos and cause loss of faith in the American government. They did it during the wildfires in Hawaii last year. Now, I actually read...
So he's speaking at an event. I kind of clipped him out there. He's speaking at an event about misinformation, disinformation actors, and natural disasters. Like when we saw the wildfires out in Hawaii and all the misinformation around that, all the people that ran and said, all the kids went missing, none of them come home from school, millions of kids still separated from their parent, all that shit, and we've proven it wrong and wrong again. While we're on the topic of misinformation, somebody sent me an email today. They didn't like my response, but they sent me an email. So I got this email from Patty, and Patty sent this email and says, Q military generals, very real. They are very real. And I got this. This isn't even a good Photoshop, right? Not all the Qs are the same size. Not all the Qs are the same angle. This one's running off the bottom of the cup. This one's touching the bottom of the cup. This one's got a gap at the top. This one's got a bigger gap at the bottom. This isn't even a good Photoshop, okay? And so I responded back with very Photoshop, laugh out loud, and bad Photoshops at that. I know who two of these guys are. And then I responded with this picture. And one of them is very, very anti-Trump. So here it is in full quality. It's got the Marine Corps flag on it. Right? This is the actual photo. This is what she sent me. Then she doesn't even respond at all, even though she's been proven wrong. She doesn't respond at all. And instead sends me this email that says, the Rubber Duck at the Rubber Duck 79 posted at 1:09 p.m. on Thursday, September 5th, 2024. Trump We will have the greatest sovereign wealth fund, and maybe we'll call it something else. How many planes full of gold flew back from the Vatican? We're almost there. Wakey, wakey. I don't know why people send me their Q propaganda. Obviously, you guys don't know what a sovereign wealth fund is. There's not even a video here. It's just this. It's just a clip. And it is from the Rubber Duck 79. Trump, quote, we'll have the greatest sovereign wealth fund, and maybe we'll call it something else. And then, end quote. And then they put in, how many planes full of blank flew back from the Vatican? A sovereign wealth fund is like a pool of money that's run by the country's government and invested in different things for economic benefit for the citizens, right? So, like, a lot of oil-rich companies have this. Some states have this. You know, like in Alaska, you get paid because they drill in Alaska or whatever. You get that, like, percentage or whatever. There you go. That's part of it. That's like a sovereign wealth fund. Saudi Arabia is known for this. Norway is known for this. Kuwait probably is known for this. There's these funds they use to give back. It's like a fund where they make money off something, and they give back to the people by building nice stuff, whatever, checks. Alaska actually issues checks back. It's interesting, especially because Trump claims that his tariffs are going to pay for this sovereign wealth fund. Now, we've already talked about the tariffs. Who ends up paying tariffs on imported goods? You do. You pay tariffs on imported goods. They pass the price right on to you. They just send it to you. So you're going to pay extra for everything you buy overseas, so Trump can decide how to invest it for you in something that he thinks will be good for you. I heard it was 650 planes. Zero did, exactly zero. There's no Nassar coming. There is no Q operation. No one is coming to save us. Once you stop hanging out onto false dreams, we can all move forward with what we really need to do to bring down all this corruptness. You are a cis lord on planet Cuck. Now scram. Got him there. I don't know why people send me their like shit that they believe on Q. I don't know. I don't understand how we get it. Anyways, back to Ryan McBeth and misinformation.
This indictment while I was on the plane coming here, and I thought, my God, this would make a good Hollywood movie. Maybe I should pitch it to Netflix while I'm here. But it's not. It's an honest-to-God, real indictment from the Justice Department involving two people, and hopefully I pronounce these names correctly. Konstantin Kalashnikov.
Tim Pool saying, and now they say I'm paid for by the Russians.
And Elena Afanasfia. And they also mentioned in the indictment a company based out of Tennessee that is unnamed, but is most likely Tenet Media. Now, you might have heard of Tenet Media before. They are the YouTube home to a bunch of right-wing personalities, Lauren Southern, Tim Pool, Taylor Hanson, Matt Christensen, Dave Rubin, and Benny Johnson. And you know what's crazy? I think I've interacted with all of these people at one point or another because they were spreading disinformation regarding Ukraine. Specifically,
isn't that interesting? That Ron McBeth specifically has interacted with all of these people over disinformation with Ukraine. He's responded on Twitter to every single person at Tenet Media over disinformation. He even talks to Tim Pool. He's like, you should have listened to me last year when I tried to correct you.
Tim Pool, who was probably the worst of the bunch. One funny thing to note. Tim Pool said in a Twitter post, should these allegations prove true, I, as well as other personalities and commentators, were deceived and are victims. So, you weren't paid by Russia? You came up with these lies about Ukraine that just so happened to conform to Russia's foreign policy goals on your own? And you did it for free? That's probably the dumbest thing you've ever said, Tim, and you have said some dumb stuff, but go with it. Go with it if you're in front of a judge. I want to see what happens. So, let's start with the absolute basics regarding RT. RT, formerly known as Russia Today, is a media outlet funded and controlled by the Russian government. Now, RT is not your average news network. It has been accused of spreading propaganda and disinformation around...
By the way, this video came out today, 20 hours ago, but the new indictment came out today for, we can Google it. Lauren Chin, which was the Canadian, right, that was like running Tenet Media, she got indicted today as well. I think. Am I wrong? Let me look.
World, especially in countries that don't see.
That's what I heard on Twitter.
So think of RT as like the Kremlin's microphone, just blasting their narrative across the globe. RT or not, the good guys. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, things got serious. Many countries banned RT from broadcasting. Now in the U.S., can't necessarily.
It looks like she got fired. Federal prosecutors charge a conservative media company that took millions. That was yesterday. Let me make sure that's true. Blaze Media. She got fired from Blaze Media. Lauren Chen. Yeah, this might actually not be true. I might have just misread something. I thought she got an indictment today. YouTube terminates Tenet Media channel. Blaze fired. So maybe she's still playing. Maybe she's still playing victim.
What do you make of my?
All right, let's finish this video. We'll find out.
And
a lot of cable stations.
How troubling do you find them?
Stop playing.
Just dropped RT from their lineup. So what did RT do? Did they pack up and go home? No, they just.
So it's illegal. So the reason the U.S. didn't ban RT like every other country did is they technically don't have the power to do it. Instead, all the companies decided just to drop RT.
Pivoted and switched gears to covert operations. They used more social media, especially YouTube. They decided to influence Western audiences through more underhanded means. And one of those means was to create, essentially, companies that parroted RT's party line. So let's meet our first player, Konstantin Kalashnikov, also known as Kostya. He's a Russian national and an employee of RT. What's his job? Manage digital media projects and, according to the indictment, run covert operations in the U.S. Then there's Elena Afanasьeva, or Lena. She's another RT employee who works closely with Kostya to manage Tenet's media activities here in the U.S., all while hiding her true employer of RT. Well, this brings us to Tenet Media. This is a Tennessee-based company at the center of this whole mess, a mess that they kind of created. Now, on the surface, Tenet Media looks like any other content creation company, but according to the indictment, it was funded and directed by RT, making it essentially a secret arm of the Russian government's propaganda machine. So how did all this work? Well, it's alleged that RT funneled nearly $10 million to a series of foreign shell companies to fund Tenet Media. That's right, $10 million. You know what's funny is that $10 million it's like a pipe dream for the average content creator. And I have 3 times as many subscribers as Tenet Media does. I see nowhere near that amount of money. I'm barely
3 times the subscribers Tenet Media, and he has nowhere near that money, obviously. Tenet Media was fucking losing their ass.
Making as much as I did at Accenture, and now I have 3 jobs instead of 1. So what was that $10 million for? Well, it was to produce and distribute videos that would stoke division in America and push narratives that were favorable to Russian interests on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and more. Note that the indictment says that nearly 90% of the deposits into the Tenet Media bank account from October 2023 to August 2024 came from foreign deposits. If the total foreign deposits were $9.7 million, that means the company was bringing in maybe $970,000 a year in YouTube ad revenue. Not bad, especially if you're a single content creator, but these people had to pay a staff. So it's not surprising that most of the content that you see on Tenet Media, it's like this talking head style, easy to produce content that's long form with plenty of.
And a lot of it's clipped out of other streams or other interviews or whatever, but yeah, it's usually pretty quick content. They're not making graphics for each one or doing a ton of research, right? It's more them like, we know it all, so we're talking to people who agree with us.
For mid-rolls, they need to make as much money as possible whenever they show a video. But even with this cheap content, they still couldn't make money and pay all their staff, so they had to be subsidized by RT. Now, the founders of Tenet Media are Liam Donovan and Lauren Chen, also known in the document as Founder 1 and Founder 2. They were contacted by Kalashnikov and Afanasьeva to set up this new media company, and the founders were.
If they haven't been indicted, which it doesn't, I may have just misread it on when I saw it on Twitter. If they haven't been indicted, they were literally talking about the Russians paying them and Googling what time is it in Moscow and shit like that. They should be.
Immediately suspicious that these people just wanted to shower them with money. That was kind of weird. So Kalashnikov and Afanasьeva, along with an unnamed actor named Persona 1, came up with this fictitious benefactor. The man's claimed name was Edward Georgin, who was supposedly this accomplished finance professional who held various positions in Brussels and France and was worked at a multinational bank. But the founders were still a little suspicious, especially when they Googled Edward Grigorian and couldn't find anything. So the founders emailed Persona 1 and asked Persona 1 about this guy they couldn't find on the internet. So Persona 1 replied with a fake resume and a profile. And I guess that was good enough. And even though Persona 1 occasionally spelled Edward Grigorian's name wrong in documents or accidentally sending correspondence and emails, the founders of Tenet Media took the money and whistled past the graveyard. Sort of. On September 11, 2023, one of the founders wrote Persona 1 about an unpaid invoice. When Persona 1 didn't respond, one of the founders Googled time in Moscow. The founder realized that it was 4:50 a.m. in Moscow, and they knew that the people who paid their bills weren't up. And of course, this means that the founders of Tenet Media, Liam Donovan and Lauren Chen, knew that they were taking money from Russia. So let's talk about this law. Here in the U.S., we have...
So they knew they were taking money from Russia. That's basically what the indictment said. They had to have.
Something called the Foreign Agents Registration Act, or FARA. Basically, if you're working as an agent of a foreign principal...
Blaze Media says Lauren Chin was an independent contractor whose contract has been terminated.
You need to register with the Department of Justice. Why? Because transparency is key. People deserve to know who is influencing them and why. Note that I still work for the U.S. government in some capacity as a contractor, and that puts a lot of restrictions on what I can say and do. For example, every once in a while, United 24 sends me an email asking me if I'll make content with them or for them. And United 24 is a Ukrainian government-funded media outlet. And while I agree with Ukraine's fight for freedom, I'm not a mouthpiece for any foreign government. And I always tell them no. But if I did agree to do it, I would have to register for FARA. Kalashnikov and Afanasyev were living in the U.S. and they didn't register. And that's a big no-no. So now they're facing charges for conspiracy to violate FARA and conspiracy to commit...
Yeah, at minimum, Lauren Chin and the other guy, Liam, whatever, Donovan, or whatever, they should be charged 100%.
Money laundering. And that isn't just about breaking a technicality. It's about covertly influencing public opinion in the U.S. and hiding who's behind it. And when you're playing in the shadows like that, you're breaking the law. So why does this matter? I mean, Tenet Media's tagline says, "Fearless voices live here." Maybe they're just telling the truth, and the media, which is controlled by the Jews and the military-industrial complex, don't want you to hear the truth. But there is this one weird thing. Yeah, remember that attack on a concert hall in Moscow a few months back that was blamed on Daesh? Well, Russian handlers who were communicating with the founders of Tenet Media suggested that the incident...
This was a terrorist attack, even though it had to do with an ISIS cell. The Russian handlers wanted them to blame this on Ukraine.
To be blamed on Ukraine, saying
they agreed to.
I think we can focus on the Ukraine-U.S. angle. With one of the commentators, known as Commentator 3, which must be one of these people, affirming that he's happy to cover it. Now, we don't know who Commentator 3 is, but I want to focus on Tim Pool for a moment.
It's either Dave Rubin or that Tyler Hansen. I think 1 and 2 are 1 is Benny, 2 is Tim Pool, 4 is Lauren Southern. So that leaves Tyler Hansen and Dave Rubin. I don't really know the Tyler Hansen guy.
Remember back at the start of the video where I said that Tim Pool put out a tweet saying that he was a real victim here?
Here you go. This is very good. Tim Pool put out a tweet that he was a real victim here. Here's the best part of this whole thing.
3, which must be one of these people, affirming that he's happy to cover it. Now, we don't know who Commentator 3 is, but I want to focus on Tim Pool for a moment. Remember back at the start of the video where I said that Tim Pool put out a tweet saying that he was a real victim here? I want you to listen to a video from Tim Pool and ask yourself if he's parroting Russian talking points or he thought of this himself.
And they know it. But
it's the one I showed, but there's more.
This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country.
He even bangs the fucking desk. Ukraine is the enemy of this country.
Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine.
By the way, I posted this on TikTok. I said, this is ludicrous. Does this sound like somebody who took money from Russia to spread their propaganda and then played Tim Pool's clip here and then said, oh, shit, yeah, it looks like you took money from Russia. The MAGA retards on fucking Twitter lost their shit. Well, he's right. He's right. What he's saying is 100% right. They're right. They're right. One guy's like, I was like, well, then why was he indicted? Or why was he named in the indictment? He's like, show your proof. So I was like, just Google Tim Pool. He's like, go to his Twitter page. He's like, I'm the victim here. I didn't know I was being paid millions of dollars to spread Russian talking points. And he's like, I'm going to block you in the morning because I'm tired of you. You need mental help.
They are expanding this war. Now, don't get me wrong. I know. You've got criminal elements of the U.S. government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do. Ukraine is now accused, a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, triggering this conflict. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world. We should rescind all funding and financing, pull out all military support, and we should apologize to Russia.
So did Tim Pool just come to this conclusion by himself with his own research? Yeah, I'm a Christian. One thing that always struck me as kind of funny is that Judas betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. It's about $858 in today's money with the current spot price of silver.
So Germany didn't say we're sending out an arrest warrant for Ukraine. There's one guy who is Ukrainian who lives in Poland that they've issued a single arrest warrant for out of Germany. One guy.
Kind of funny is that Judas betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. It's about $858 in today's money with the current spot price of silver. Can you imagine that? Betraying the greatest man who ever lived for $858. And maybe at the end of the day, tenant media aren't traitors, they're just grifters. The content creator equivalent of carnival barkers. They have nothing new to say. They have no investigative journalism. They just have anger on demand and lazily.
By the way, Tim Pool says that they blew up the pipeline to trigger this conflict, to start this conflict. So the most recent iteration of this conflict started in the current escalation was in February of 22. The Nord Stream pipeline explosion was in September of 22. No, they didn't. This war has technically been going on. They call it the Russia-Ukrainian war. It's technically been going on since 2014, Crimea and all that, right? But a lot of people wouldn't count that. So the current escalation, where everybody's like, they're not going to invade, they're not going to invade, they're not going to invade, then they invaded, was February 22. The 24th of February, 2022. The Nord Stream explosion was in September, 7 months later. So,
5,252 just resubscribed for 22 months.
Thank you for your subscription. So 7 months later, when even if Ukraine did all of it, they didn't start the war. 7 months after the war started.
Produce content that's simple to edit so they can pump out 4 videos a week. This case highlights just how far some foreign entities will go to manipulate public opinion. They're not just buying ads or pushing their content, they're embedding themselves in our media landscape, pretending to be something they're not. And that's dangerous. It's a reminder to all of us. Always check your sources. Be skeptical of where information is coming from, especially when it's from unknown entities. And most importantly, stay informed, because when you know what's going on, you're a lot harder to fool. Hey, if you're in the LA area, come to the 2024 Disaster Expo at the LA Convention Center.
Good job, Ryan McBeth, calling him out. It says Lauren Chin has not made it. Here's a statement. For some reason, I thought that a new indictment rolled out. I think I saw a Twitter post, or maybe it was a YouTube video. Anyways, it says the conservative creator Lauren Chin had her contract terminated by Blaze Media on Thursday, a day after she was implicated in a bombshell DOJ indictment alleging a Russian influence campaign. Chin, a co-founder of Tenet Media, had been collecting checks from the right-wing Blaze Media for creating YouTube content and appearing on Blaze TV, which was founded by the former Fox News host Glenn Beck. That relationship is no more, however. Blaze Media CEO Tyler Carden confirmed in a statement shared with Semaphore. Lauren Chin is an independent contractor whose contract has been terminated, he said. The unsealed indictment alleged that prominent right-wing influencers like Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, and Benny Johnson were secretly funded by Russian state and media employees to create content of their choosing. The content was allegedly aligned with Moscow's political interest in the states, with a pair of Russia Today RT employees accused of shelling out $10 million for favorable pieces of media, especially every time they got paid by a different shell company. And some of their payment wire transfers said shit like for iPhone 15s, miscellaneous electronics and shit. Lauren Chin, at minimum, her and Liam Donovan should be going to jail. They better get back to Canada. Caught up in the operation was Tenet Media's founders. The indictment said the filing did not list names, but Chin and Liam Donovan are the only individuals who would match that description. The RT staffers were named in the indictment and charged with conspiracy to commit money laundering and conspiracy to violate the Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA. Chin, Donovan, and others at Tenet Media were not indicted or mentioned by name in Wednesday's filing. Some of Tenet Media's influencers have spoken out against their bosses, however, claiming they had no clue the Kremlin was influencing their day-to-day content. We are distributed by we are disturbed. I'm an idiot. We are disturbed by the allegations of today's indictment, which makes clear that myself and other influencers were victims of this alleged scheme, Benny Johnson wrote in a statement. My lawyers will handle anyone who states or suggests otherwise. The feds backed up that claim, writing in the indictment that some creators were provided false information on the source of the company's funding. When you couldn't find the guy online at all, you're just like, okay, I'll take his resume. Chen and Donovan have not addressed the situation publicly. I don't think she said anything. I'm sure she has a Twitter account, right? I wonder who's running Tenet Media's Twitter now. Shen. Like if you support treason charges and life in prison for Lauren Shen. Oh, no. Blaze TV, host of Mediaholic and Pseudo-Intellectual were her, I guess her show she did. Blaze TV, host of Mediaholic and Pseudo-Intellectual, TPUSA contributor, occasional comedian. There's an IG and Telegram. September 3rd was her last post. She might have got a heads up because even other people were posted on the 4th. She reposts, after 11 months of the U.S. limitless financing of and arming of Israel's war in Gaza, major populations in Asia now overwhelmingly say that they prefer an alignment with China over the U.S. The costs the U.S. incurs to its own interests to finance and shield Israel are staggering. Here's her last post. Since we're discussing lesser-known WW2 facts, this is a reminder that approximately 14 million Chinese were killed as a result of Japanese aggression, and that Japanese war criminals, including but not limited to the rape of Nanking, United 731, and mass rape of comfort women. The Asian Holocaust killed twice as many people as the Nazis did. Anything to take away from the Holocaust, ain't that right?
Consensus among a lot of people who are criticizing Tim was that, yeah, he clearly just does not care about Ukrainian civilians.
So here is Lauren Shen claiming that Tim Pool isn't a Russian agent while she was paying him via the Russians. She was getting money from the Russians to give to Tim Pool, and here she is saying that he was not a Russian agent.
And it seemed like the consensus among a lot of people who are criticizing Tim was that, yeah, he clearly just does not care about Ukrainian civilians being killed by Russia, or he's a Russian asset, you name it. Which is so frustrating because as someone who actually listens to Tim Pool's stuff, I know that he is hardline anti-war. Again, you don't have to think that he is right here, but to misinterpret his take as him thinking that civilian deaths and casualties are not a big deal, that is the exact opposite of what he thinks is the problem. And he did go on to clarify this.
I don't know about you guys, but I trust her.
Even though I don't think he should have needed to on his own feed. He wrote they want.
It's like a podcast made up of nothing but right-wing Trump-supporting Russian nesting dolls. And then they just like pull off Benny Johnson's head and there's Tim Pool. They pull off Tim Pool's head and there's Lauren Southern. They pull off Lauren Southern's head and they just keep going. They want to manipulate you into supporting intervention. They show crying translators, fake stories of valor, sock puppet accounts to troll you. Keep crying, keep trying, and fuck your wars. Ooh, he's so edgy. I hope I grow up to be a beanie-wearing Tim Pool.
Even though I don't think he should have needed to on his own feed. He wrote, they want to manipulate you into supporting intervention. They show crying translators, fake stories of valor, sock puppet accounts to troll you, keep crying, keep trying, and F your wars. He then, and it seemed like the consensus among
I'm glad she told us that. That makes sense.
I don't think he should have needed to on.
Lauren Shen posted this while taking $10 million in a black bag payments from Russia to promote propaganda for a dictatorship that regularly threatens to nuke America. AIPAC is a lobbying organization that represents a foreign nation and funds or targets members of Congress based on their loyalty to said foreign nation. If you support that, just say it. Wow, there's going to be a lot that didn't age well, huh? Lauren Shen, a Chinese 2 out of 10 at best. Hong Konger, against African Americans nonstop to her American white simps. Turns out she is funded by Tenet Media, a company operated as a front by Russian government. Too many shills. Lauren Shin is the Ilhan Omar of conservative politics, anti-American Chinese comedian who wanted to influence her mostly white male audience to hate the United States. How Lauren Shin is still employed by any reputable conservative outlet is beyond me. Oh, look, Blair White is on the side of the shills denouncing Lauren Shin. Holy shit, I remember when she was DMing a lot of people I know trying to buy their shows. They definitely never said anything about Russian involvement, though, so I think it's possible she deceived some of the creators she pulled in. The indictment suggests it's the case. When one influencer asked about where the funding was coming from, they were given an entirely fabricated profile of an individual that doesn't exist. That can't be found online. Apparently, he's like this banking magnate from Europe, and you can't find him online at all. He doesn't exist on Google. But they sent him this fucking super flattering fucking... Tim Pool didn't even ask. He was like, oh, yeah, sounds good. Benny Johnson at least wanted a fucking resume. And then, you know what Benny Johnson was upset about? Not that the guy doesn't exist. Not that you couldn't find him online. Not that you can't look him up. Not that he never worked for this bank. No one has any records of him ever existing at all. He was mad because he said that he was part of the fight for social justice. And Benny said, oh, if he's talking about social justice, like we have social justice, we can't work with him here. Glad you set that straight, Benny. I want to see what... This is Megyn Kelly. Let's see what she had to say about this shit.
What do you make of my summary of these allegations, and how troubling do you find them?
Troubling, and I think you're spot on, Megan, especially when you're talking about Lauren Chen. You know, Lauren Chen was pretty normal for a while, and then she started taking money from Russia, apparently around 2021, and then all of a sudden she started complaining about the influence of Jews in political life and AIPAC and how they were controlling the agenda, which sounds like projecting to me, right? The whole dual loyalty thing. All of a sudden she started being one of the more prominent anti-Semites on social.
Russia has a long history of anti-Semitism, quite a bit of it, honestly.
Media. So I have no sympathy for her. And
if you know Russian history
and all this, and you're right to call her out. As far as the others, you know, I worry about like Tim Pool, for example. He was issuing broadsides against Ukraine, saying Ukraine was the biggest enemy of the United States. You're wondering, where did this come from? Well, you have to wonder, you know, was he a useful idiot for Russia? The government said he wasn't a Russian agent. They didn't indict him for anything, but they're sort of accusing him of being useful idiots, where they are promoting Russian propaganda. Now all of a sudden I've seen social media where he's backing down from that.
Look, if I found out tomorrow that a company that I was working for, I had no idea. But, like, let's say I was given a bunch of let's say every time I come with a story of U.S. versus China, it seemed like I was always pretty sympathetic to China. And then tomorrow it comes out that a Chinese company was actually my ad sponsor or whatever, and they were funneling money to me to keep spreading what they believed was propaganda to my U.S. audience. It's time to sit down and reevaluate my fucking beliefs, bro. Tim Pool shouldn't be on here trying to fucking own the libs by saying, I support war now. It's time for him to sit down and say, why the fuck do I believe these things? That Russia was willing to pay $10 million to hear me shout. But he's too goddamn stupid.
And saying, well, you know...
well, he's not stupid. He wants the bag, right? He's all about that money. Civil war, civil war, civil war, civil war. I sell MREs in case a civil war breaks out.
Switched on Ukraine. I don't know if that's real or not, but it's really suspicious, and I'm glad the government's doing this and that they were unafraid to do this close to the election. I'm actually a little surprised because Merrick Garland is not known for his courage. He's known for his timidity, and here we are with this. And for those who think this is political, they could have indicted people perhaps if they really wanted to get political. They did not. You were correct, Megan, how you phrased this. So it's an important issue. It is troubling, and we should all be talking about it today, as you are.
But before I get Joel's reaction to that, Dave, it's very odd that Lauren and her husband are not named as, you know, two of the targets, to the indicted defendants. So, and there's no way the government doesn't think it has the ability to do that against them. If you read the indictment, they're really among the top villains, and they make very clear that they believe Lauren and her husband, they have them dead rights. They believe, unknowing, this was Russian money and that they were acting as agents of Russia and that they were hiding it from the podcasters. So you tell me as a DA, what do you think is happening behind the scenes here? Because those are like the only...
I'm just telling you, if Russia is listening right now for $10 million goddamn dollars, I'm the victim in this, chat. Look, I'm the victim in this. Stop looking at me that way. I'm the victim in this. Ukraine is our greatest enemy and the only enemy of the free world.
Only two who haven't issued a statement.
Right. Well, that is telling. That could mean they're cooperating or in discussions to cooperate. I don't know if they've been issued a target letter. The feds keep things
Could they have
close
been
to the vest.
indicted? Could they already have been indicted secretly and cut a deal to work with the feds?
They could have cut a deal. I think that a secret indictment is unlikely. I think that they could have cut a deal, yes. The feds are uniquely private about these things. This is something that we're different at the state level. We're public about everything. The feds do work in secret. But you have to wonder, why would they do a secret indictment? They would go ahead and they would indict, or they would be talking to them, issuing them a target letter, and then negotiating with them. Perhaps they have flipped already, because it is very conspicuous by her silence.
So you don't need to indict them, is your point, to get them to cooperate. The DOJ, the FBI shows up and says,
they just send you a target letter, right? You're currently under target investigation, and they can give as much information or restrict as much information as they want. But they want you to know that you're a target in the investigation. Maybe don't leave town. Maybe don't take any unannounced trips, that kind of thing, right? And that usually gets people working. You don't want to be a target of the fucking FBI.
you're going to be indicted, and here's all the evidence we have against you. And clearly they've been monitoring their emails and their communications for months now. It's like they know where this is leading, and most people would probably cut a deal because they'd be terrified.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the feds usually get their person because, unlike the state, they've got really draconian penalties, unlimited resources, limited discovery for defendants, and that's why they win about 98% of their cases. And unless your name is Mark Cuban, you're likely going down. So it's probably good to...
I just saw that she was one of the big names I was talking about it. She was actually on the top of the search bar, so the reason I clicked on it. I don't really care for her either.
Great early on.
Okay, Joel, so what do you make of everything we've just discussed? Because I'll just say there's one thing. I know Dave is saying that, like, Tim Pool was shilling on Ukraine. You and I both know that in the conservative sphere in particular, being against our involvement, our support of Ukraine is not that controversial a position. Oh, shoot, you know, we're having trouble.
But saying that, so again, when you say, like, I don't think we should be spending so much money on Ukraine, that's one thing. Saying, get the fuck out, Ukraine is our greatest fucking enemy and the greatest fucking enemy of the free world. And once we pull out, we should apologize to Russia is a different take, right? I think that we support Ukraine. I think that it is I hate to use slippery slope, but I think that it's a statement. Do you think Russia's going to stop at Ukraine? He campaigned on rebuilding the USSR. Ukraine, he thought, was just going to be a stepping stone to keep going, right? To other countries. He is claiming NATO's pressuring me while he's literally pushing pressure against NATO. It's 2014 that we just let him have Crimea, and then they had a fake election where there was like armed guards and shit there, where everybody was afraid to vote for anything else, and then they were covertly putting people in the Donbass that were Russians to pretend like they were Ukrainians, and they wanted to secede and started a civil war over there, right? Fuck that. And the few trips that Ukraine has made into Russian territory, I don't give a fuck. I don't think they're ultimately trying to hold that land. I don't think they're trying to seize land from Russia. But why not hit their fuel depot when you're right there? Why not cut off their troops and technically be in use? Now, I don't think that the U.S. should overtly support the operations that invade into Russian sovereign territory. But if Ukraine does that for a strategic reason, that's how they negotiate back their own fucking land. People are losing their shit because Ukraine went fucking 40 miles into Russia. Yeah. Russia has been fucking all of Crimea since 2014. That's how they're going to negotiate back. They're going to say that, okay, when this ends, they're going to say, okay, well, we'll pull out of the areas that we're in and whatever Russia was at the start of January 1st, 2022, we'll go back to those lines.
With Joel. All right, I'm going to keep it on you then, Dave, while we restore Joel's connection. So it's not that unusual, right? There are a lot of people who are not shills for Russia who think we shouldn't have anything to do with Ukraine. The Republican Party in general is becoming more isolationist under Trump, and you don't have to think much of Russia at all to have that position. And here's as far as the indictment goes. It reads in paragraph 2, while the views expressed in the videos are not uniform, the subject matter and content of the videos are often consistent with the government of Russia's interest in amplifying U.S. domestic divisions in order to weaken U.S. opposition to core government of Russia interests, such as its ongoing war in Ukraine. I mean, that is quite a thin read, Dave. They're not uniform, but
watch his fucking show, you dumb bitch.
Subject matter and content of the videos are often consistent with Russia's interest in amplifying U.S. domestic divisions. I mean, you could say that this show...
The marketing director, the programming director for RT is over on Russian news media bragging about the secret operations they have going on in the U.S. and that the U.S. is coming around to support Russia. Why else would they pay $10 million? You think they just did it because they thought Tim had a cool beanie?
Is consistent with a desire to amplify domestic divisions because we talk about controversial things. We're not all about unity and rainbows and unicorns. Like this seems like a thin read.
I hear you. It's just the content of Tim Pool. He didn't just say, I disagree with our policy toward Ukraine. He actually said Ukraine is the greatest threat to the United States. Stuff that is so preposterous. Like wondering, did Vladimir Putin write that himself? And now I don't know if this is true because.
And we should apologize to Russia after we leave. We should apologize to Russia because they invaded a country and we decided to support that country and standing up against them. We should apologize. What the fuck?
Because I saw on Twitter, I don't like calling it the other name, but on Twitter, that he's now changed his position. I don't know what to believe anymore if it's a deep fake or not, but if he changed his position overnight because of that, that's also telling. One more thing on that. Remember there was that attack on the concert venue in Moscow in March? Yes. It was an ISIS attack. And yet the Russians who were involved with this operation.
It was an ISIS cell. There's another name for it. I can't remember what it was, but they're definitely ISIS affiliated.
Told the folks at Tenet to push the narrative that it was Ukraine behind it, and apparently some of the folks that were eager to do so. So, that's why it's a little more than just saying we disagree with
Let's be specific. I saw that same allegation, and it's probably the worst allegation in here about what they did. But it's not them. It's not like, first of all, I want to reiterate on Tim Pool, because you're saying, okay, maybe he was shilling, but he's not even alleged to have known that the Russians were here, were paying him. So there would have been no reason for him to change his position.
Right. He's just retarded and already spreading their propaganda for free. So they provide money and financing to make sure it spreads, host his channel, help with editing, help with recording, multiply his views by posting all his clips on a different channel, ask him to amplify it on his main channel. Yeah. We get it.
Be pro-Russia. He may have just been pro-Russia. He may have just been anti-Ukraine. I think that he was anti-Ukraine, and I think he could have come by that and did come by that totally organically without knowing he was getting Russian money. That's what the indictment says. But here's the thing that you're referring to that does bear some discussion, and that is on page 20.
I genuinely don't think that Tim Pool holds hardly any of the beliefs. Remember when he used to be the super fence sitter? I'm not saying Trump is good, but I'm not saying Trump is bad, but I'm not saying that I support him, but I'm not saying that I don't support. What was that famous one that we covered where he was talking about, he was fence sitting on whether or not you should take pictures at Mount Rushmore? He was fence sitting on whether or not you should be allowed to take pictures at Mount Rushmore. Hold on just a second. There's some meth head in my parking lot. Keep going, meth head. Had to kill somebody on a live stream.
24 and 25 of the indictment, they write that on or about February 14th, 2024, one of these Russians, she goes by a couple different names, but one of them is Helena Shudra, shared with Tenet, they don't say Tenet, they say U.S. Company One, but we know it's Tenet, a video of a well-known U.S. political commentator visiting a grocery store in Russia. That's obviously Tucker. Helena posted the video on the producer's Discord channel. That's an internal, that's like how you communicate in like a more protected way internally as producers at Tenet. Later that day, producer one, and we don't know who that is, privately messaged founder two, that's Liam Donovan, Lauren's husband, on Discord. They want me to push this, writes this producer, again, we don't know who it is, referencing this video of Tucker. But it just feels like overt shilling. Founder two, meaning again, Liam Donovan, replied that founder one, that's Lauren Chen, quote, thinks we should put it out there. Producer one acquiesced, responding, all right, I'll put it out tomorrow. Then the next example. As another example, on or about March 22nd, 2024, Helena, the Russian, shared in the Discord channel a video of the March 22, 2024 terrorist attack on a music venue in Moscow, which killed approximately 145 people and injured hundreds more. Producer one privately messaged founder one, meaning Lauren Chen, writing, I don't know if you saw it, but they want me to post some footage from an attack in Moscow today. There's a watermark in the middle of the page that's blurred, which looks bad, and it's also pretty graphic. You can see people getting shot, albeit from far away. That's a very normal producer email to send. It's got a watermark, meaning somebody else owns it, and there's excessive violence. Is that something we're going to put on the air? Founder one, Lauren Chen, did not push back on the content.
Wait, are you going to read the part where he says, where the fucking Russian operative says, we should really push the America-Ukraine side of this, even though it was an ISIS attack?
And of the clip, but replied in the producer Discord channel, quote, I'm not sure it's a good idea to blur out someone's watermark. Then weighs in the Russian, Helena, assuring the group that, quote, it's fine, no worries. It falls under fair use. Producer one and producer two found a video clip of the attack without the watermark and posted the clip to X. The next day, Helena privately messaged founder one, Lauren Chen, on Discord, asking that, quote, one of our creators record something about the Moscow terror attack. Despite public reporting that the foreign terrorist organization ISIS had claimed responsibility for the attack, Helena requested that Tenet media blame Ukraine and the U.S., writing, quote, I think we can focus on the Ukraine/U.S. angle. The mainstream media spread fake news that ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack, yet ISIS itself never made such statements. All terrorists are now detained while they were headed to the border with Ukraine, which makes it even more suspicious why they would want to go to Ukraine to hide, end quote. Founder one, meaning Lauren Chen, responded that she would ask Commentator 3, we don't know who that is, and the next day confirmed that Commentator 3 said, quote, he's happy to cover it.
Why would Tim not be suspicious when he goes and looks at Tenet Media, the channel he represents, that posts all his clips, that hosts his fucking channel, when he looks at their Twitter profile and they're blaming Ukraine for an ISIS terror attack? Y'all are treating him like he's just fucking sitting in front of a mic with blinders on. Checks show up in the mail, someone else cashes them, and he just fucking sits here speaking all the goddamn day. He doesn't look at anything.
That's the entirety of getting one of the hired podcasters or influencers to directly shill. We don't know who Commentator 3 is, but it's not Ruben, and it's not Tim Pool, and it's not the woman who's been mentioned, not Lauren Chen, but the other podcaster. And this person, all this person would have known was that Lauren Chen was asking him to push this message, and there's not even an allegation that he would have known it was a Russian request, just that Lauren Chen, who brought him into this company, thought this was a good angle to pursue. That's as far as it goes. I think we have Joel now. Joel, welcome.
So if I steal nuclear launch codes by abusing my position close to the president, and I post them to a brand new friend I made on Discord who just was super interested in how nuclear missiles get launched, and I post them to him, is it okay if I didn't know that it was a Chinese operative? I just thought it was my best friend Terry. And Terry is like a super nerd about nuclear missiles. So when I abuse my power to get the process, to get the codes, to get the stuff from the president, and then posted them to him, I had no idea that Terry was actually Chinese. Like when Etsuko joined the channel, I had no idea Etsuko was Chinese. She's here now.
Your take on all of this?
Back up, Terry.
Thanks, and hi, Dave.
Terry, back up.
Dave's one
What
of
are you doing, Terry?
fair-minded people out there. It's great to hear his take. And I remember watching in 2016 when he came out with the decision not to prosecute Corey Lewandowski over the incident with my former colleague Michelle Fields. And we all expected him to prosecute Lewandowski because he's a Democrat and it's Palm Beach County. And he didn't. He looked at the facts and he called it as he saw it. So he's a real great person to meet here, at least virtually. I think that this is a case where there are different people who are swept up in this. I mean, I think it's funny to call people who receive millions of dollars victims. Usually when you talk about victims of fraud, they're the ones who lost millions of dollars. So, I wouldn't mind being a victim who got paid millions of dollars. But anyway, look, I think they are going to suffer a little bit through this controversy. The only two that I know are Tim Pool and Lauren Chen.
Destiny made a really good post about this. Everybody's going to say I'm shilling for Destiny. Destiny made a really good post about this. He says, LMAO, Tim Cast at Ruben Report and Benny Johnson almost earned more in a single year from Russian money laundering scheme than Hunter Biden earned his entire time he was on the board at Burisma. They almost earned more in 1 year than Hunter Biden earned the entire time, 6 years he worked at Burisma, and they still haven't shut up about that. But they were victims here, guys. They were victims. If anything, I think we should have a little candlelight vigil about them.
And Tim Pool, I've been on his show a couple of times. I was there last week. And he's always struck me as a straight shooter. Nobody should assume that because he has sponsorship from this organization or that person that he's taking their view. He has strong views. He has views against our foreign policy in Ukraine and so forth. And I don't think anybody could have bought him either way. Lauren Chen, I don't know very well, but I got to know her sort of through X or Twitter back in October, where she came after me out of the blue when I said some things about Israel that were pro-Israel, admittedly quite strident and emotional after October 7th, but she was pretty hostile. And she was the first influencer or person with any kind of following that I really noticed who was representing what...
God damn, dude. You got to get... Are those even real AirPods? What the fuck is this?
...surprised me as a kind of anti-Israel strain.
It sounds like you're sitting in this box on your wall back here. It sounds like you're in that plastic box.
Of thought on the online right. We've all seen the left explode in the streets and on campus. And there's always been some anti-Semitism on the right and the left, especially online where people can comment anonymously. But Lauren Chen represented this very passionate and quite rehearsed strain of thinking that was very anti-Israel. She dialed it back over the months as these models.
Tim Pool is now going to start advertising for his Patreon or whatever they call it, that he was part of the Russia hoax.
...emerged on campus, and I think she took exception to that. But it now seems to me that we have to take every manifestation of some of this online
I want to see him take his beanie off live on air and show us that it wasn't made in Russia. That's what I want.
anti-Semitism or bigotry or weird commentary of any sort with a grain of salt, because we don't know who's being paid to say what. And if that's where this came from, if this new resurgent anti-Semitism online is coming from people who are paid to do it, I think on the one hand it should make us feel better because I don't think Americans are innately anti-Semitic. On the other hand, we really have to be concerned about how much this sort of thing is affecting our discourse. And
I think there's no evidence of that. There's no evidence. I've definitely seen her anti-Israel tweets. I mean, she's been as aggressive as anybody. But there's no evidence. There's not even an allegation in here. How is that? That she was doing that.
But she knew she was working for the Russians. You're going to defend her?
To satisfy these Russian handlers of hers, the people who are, because she was also making bank. She wasn't.
You dumb bitch. Stop being so fucking retarded. Do you think that the Russians randomly went through Twitter, closed their eyes, and just scrolled until they picked somebody and they're like, Lauren Chin. That's who we're going with. They clearly already saw what content she was making, what her beliefs were, what her strategy was, and thought, this will be somebody easy to fucking flip. She knew that she was working for the Russians. Privately called them the Russians when she was talking with the other founder. They didn't just pick somebody out of the blue. It was people who already agreed with their fucking propaganda they're trying to spread to influence U.S. elections.
Making as much as Tim and Dave, but she was making thousands of dollars. I think they alleged she made $750.
You think they would have picked fucking Destiny? You think they would have come to Destiny and been like, hey, we want to start hosting your channel. We want to start paying you money. And you just keep up your same content. It was originally $8,000 a month. And then it went to $25,000 a month a piece. But there was also recruiting bonuses and shit like that.
$50,000 in the not quite 1 year that this tenant media was operating. So she was getting paid a lot, but it seemed like it was mostly to be pro-Russian. She made $750,000 in the not quite 1 year that this tenant...
$750,000 in what? 8 months, 9 months? No, 11 months?
Media was operating. So she was getting paid a lot, but it seemed like it was...
She almost made $1 million a year.
Mostly to be pro-Russian, not anti-Israel. I'm going to defend her, Joel, by saying she came by that one honestly. I think she just genuinely doesn't like the country of Israel or those who support it. But in any event, let me just ask. Let me say this. Okay, so I want to get to a little bit of what the guys are saying in their defense. I take your point that they've made a lot of money, and there are many people online saying, "Are they going to give it back? Are they going to give it back?" Well, that's sticky because I'm sure they paid people to help them with Dave was doing this show on viral videos.
Tim Pool is a multi-fucking millionaire. He could give every bit of it back. Or better yet, donate it to a Ukrainian organization that helps people wounded or people escape the country or something like that.
I'm sure he had somebody he paid. I don't know where that's going to go, but here's what Dave says. He says, these allegations clearly show that I and other commentators were the victims of the scheme. I knew absolutely nothing about any of this.
Dude, we found one. What was the one we found? The USmilitarynews.com that's being run out of Yugoslavia or some shit.
Fraudulent activity, period. People of the Internet, that was the name of his show, was a silly show covering viral videos, which ended 4 months ago. The DOJ has never contacted me regarding this matter. He put this out last night, and I have no intention to comment further. This was a silly show that I and others... I take your point that they've made a lot of money, and there are many people online saying, "Are they going to give it back? Are they going to give it back?" Well, that's sticky because I'm sure they paid people to help them with Dave was doing this show on viral videos. I'm sure he had somebody he paid. I don't know where that's going to go, but here's what Dave says. He says, these allegations clearly show that I and other commentators were the victims of the scheme. I knew absolutely nothing about any of this fraudulent activity, period. People of the Internet, that was the name of his show, was a silly show covering viral videos, which ended 4 months ago. The DOJ has never contacted me regarding this matter. He put this out last night, and I have no intention to comment further. This screenshot directly from the indictment speaks for itself. And there's an explicit admission by the DOJ that these podcasters did not know that Lauren, they say, knew, and her husband knew, and they kept it a secret and misled these guys into thinking this Edouard guy, who's Parisian, was really the money.
At some point, how fucking dumb can you be, right? There's a woman I saw the other day where here's one that's more relevant, different example. So over the weekend, a bunch of people that were banking with Chase, I think, was it Chase, Wells Fargo? I don't remember. Someone made a TikTok video that went viral that you can write yourself a check, deposit it into your own ATM at Wells Fargo, and they called it a money glitch, right? And they would just give you the money. These idiots went there, put in their debit card into an ATM, stood in front of the camera, put in their PIN, camera lights up, shows their face, and deposited fake checks and thought it was a money glitch. Now, some of these people are so fucking dumb, they don't understand how checks work. So when they pull the ATM and pull those checks out and find out they're fraudulent checks, they will fund you that. You can do deposits too. Like some ATMs now actually count the money you put in. But before, you just used to stuff it in an envelope and you told them you had $500, they'd credit you $500. But if they pulled it out and counted it and it was only $200, then they took the $400 back out of your account. So some of these people were fucking idiots, right? And legitimately thought this was a money glitch. God paid it, or the government, or something like that, right? Are we just going to be like, well, they didn't know how checks work? Is that how that's going to work? They didn't even know how checks work, so basically let them keep the money and let them go on about their life. Is that how they're going to handle this check fraud case? Tim Pool's a multi-millionaire who's been doing this for fucking years. He's worked for gigantic media agencies, Vice News and others. He's been on other people's shows. He knows about Russian disinformation and the Russian hoax and whatever the fuck he talks about. He knows about how many times are we going to be like, well, he didn't have any idea. He wasn't explicitly told. He should have put some goddamn pieces together.
Behind it. And again, I can tell you myself, that's what Dave told me. Taylor Hansen, he's another one of the faces. He says these allegations are a complete shock. I want to be as clear as possible. I was never directed to report on any topic. I had complete freedom and control over my reporting at all times. I would never agree to any arrangement where I'm not the sole person in charge of the stories. Matt Christensen, at no point has anyone ever directed me what to say or what not to say. I would never agree to anything otherwise. My videos and streams for Tenet are exactly the same as my videos and streams for my personal channels. Every word's from me and me alone. Tim Pool, we have him on camera because he reacted on a show today. Here's what he says in part.
Did you read the indictment? It clearly says that I, as well as the other personalities, were victims. We were deceived by people intentionally to trick us into licensing our content to them. I will add, I have a statement about this, which, we'll launch the full segment, but we never produced anything for them. We had an existing show that was already in production that they licensed distribution for, which meant that the show that we already...
I wonder why. So if they're like, if RT's like, we want to spread our propaganda and influence Americans and influence the election, you think they would have went out and got a show that had nothing to do with their propaganda and nothing to do with their beliefs and nothing to do with the messaging that they wanted to go to Americans and then not say anything about it? Or do you think they went and got your fucking show because you were already spreading their propaganda? You were already spreading their messaging. You're already sowing dissent between Americans. You're already spreading the lies and shit out of Moscow. And you can say whatever you wanted to about show number 2. Oh, this is a silly show we did about religion and shit. They were paying for show number 1, you goddamn retard. You're telling me you never mentioned show number 2 on show number 1? Or show number 1 on show number 2? Or you never shared stuff on your main account? Ever? They were paying for show number 1.
Already produced appeared on their network. That was the gist of the deal. So, there's no one from their company involved with ours. Their company paid a license fee to broadcast a show that we produce, that we run, that our employees are involved with, and they have nothing to do with. I don't know what politically, you're going to see.
And way, orders of magnitude, they paid more than what the show brought in or was worth to license, right? The show's raking in fucking $3,000 a week. They're paying $100,000 an episode. Seems legit.
A bunch of Democrats making claims and all this other stuff. I can't speak for anybody else involved in the company because I don't know what they do or what their jobs are or anything like that. I can just tell you plainly, culture war existed well before the license agreement. It will exist well after the license agreement, and they licensed it for a set period, and that meant that the show appeared on their channel. That's it.
Did you know there's nearly $1 trillion in infrastructure and pandemic funds yet to be spent? That's right. There's a massive amount of money that the lame duck administration is pushing hard to spend in their last few months. If the president is able to push these funds out, we could see another prolonged inflation surge, just like during COVID. But there's hope. A gold IRA from Birch Gold Group can be an inflation hedge for your savings in uncertain times. To see how
you think they would have considered bringing anybody on to Tenet Media who was pro-Ukraine, pro-independent Ukraine, who supported Ukraine and believed that the U.S. should be supporting Ukraine and that Ukraine should be brought into NATO? You think they would have found somebody like that and been like, oh, here's our guy, here's our host for our new show? Or you think they were looking for a very, 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 very specific type of person? I got this on my very first YouTube search. Tim Pool. Mike Flynn is calling for martial law. Jesus fucking Christ. Tim Pool's such a fucking tool bag. I want to show you guys something. We're going to play a game. Okay? We're going to use the hashtag thing. You know the hashtag feature? Now, don't do anything yet. We're going to use my brand new hashtag feature where anything you type in the chat with a hashtag, once I put it up, will be put in a survey. Okay? And it's a poll, basically. So let me make sure it's working and let me reset it. Graphic poll options. Okay. How old is this woman? Okay, that's going to be the new. It's free form, so you can guess any number you want. How old is this woman? And then I got the picture here. Don't guess yet. Obviously, I'm going to show you a picture. We're going to change speeds here. I want you guys. I need to open it over here so you guys don't see it first, and I'll open it over on a separate page. Oh my God. Okay. Here she is. Now don't vote yet. Don't vote yet. Let me get the poll thing up because I don't think it records them unless I got the thing up. Visual poll. How old is this woman? Okay, I'm going to move the visual poll out of the way so you can see her. How old is this woman? We'll get the results in just a second. There you go. You guys need to zoom in? You guys need to zoom in? We'll get the zoom going. Hold on. How old is this woman? What do you think, chat? How old is it? Any hashtag you put in will pop up as an age. Don't put other words with it because I don't know if it'll work that way. Let me see. Oh, no, it still works. Okay, as long as there's a space. Okay, you're right. How old is my new girlfriend here? This is going to be the kid's new stepmom. So, how old do you think she looks? And while we're guessing that, I'm going to read you the story. Both suspects in custody after following stabbing in Dry Creek community. The second suspect in a stabbing investigation near Jonesboro has been taken into custody, the Washington County Sheriff's Office reports. An update Sunday morning from the Washington County Sheriff's Office, Adam Porter was located. Adam Porter, he's the guy. I can show you his image too. Hold on. Here's the guy. Adam Porter. Tiny little head. Looks like it's shrinking there. Looks like his head's shrinking a little bit. Adam Porter. Go back to the girl because that's who you're voting on. Was located just after midnight at the 3100 block of West Walnut Street in Johnson City. Porter concealed himself inside the residence and refused to comply with officers' orders, therefore leading to a resisting arrest charge, the update states. Porter is being held without bond, as is a female suspect, Savannah Barber. My new new baby mama, Savannah, who was apprehended on Saturday morning. The pair is accused of stabbing two campers on Dry Creek Road on August 19th. A Washington County Sheriff's Office investigator previously told News Channel 11 that the pair was acquainted with the two victims, one of which required surgery and hospitalization following the stabbing attack. The two victims reported to the Washington County Sheriff's Office that the subject wielding a hatchet and a knife attacked him. I'm sorry, the subjects. One was wielding a hatchet, the other a knife, attacked them. Barbara was located and taken into custody shortly after midnight on Saturday in the 200 block of Bigwood Road in Limestone. She is charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault and failure to appear. The Washington County Sheriff's Office said Porter is charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault, violation of probation, and resisting arrest. So how old do we think my good friend, new baby mama Savannah is? Let's see the results. 34. Overwhelmingly 34. F no way. 39. It's a dude. Yikes. 34 with 16% of the vote. 34. Would you believe me? Oh, well, some of you obviously would. If I told you she just turned 23. She just turned 23. Like 3.5 weeks ago, she just turned 23. Look at this. That is a rough 23, bro. That is I'm 35 years old, and I've never woke up feeling this goddamn bad. Never. She's 23 fucking years old. 2 weeks ago, she turned 23. God damn, dude. And also, this guy, his head's been shrunken. Something's going on with his head, right? It looks like one of those keychain shrunken heads that you get in like Peru or something. Something's going on. Like a Beetlejuice shrunken head. So what's going on here? He got shoulder pads in that fucking jail suit. Why is his head so tiny? And his neck's even thin. Like his neck didn't ever build up the muscles to hold a human-sized head. The fuck is going on there? Anyway, she is 23. How wild is that? When I showed it to Mariah, I was like, guess how old this lady is? She's like, I don't know. Almost 40. She's 23. That's a rough 23, bro. That is a rough 23. What else we got? You guys know that I have the utmost respect for a motherfucker who can be so petty, right? That wants to get down to the minutia, to the little bitty, can be so petty. I may have found the most petty old guy on TikTok. Let's check it out. He has 2 things he loves: birds and spreading peanut butter on trees. The 2 things he loves are birds and spreading peanut butter on trees. You may ask, why does he spread the peanut butter on the trees? Well, he loves to feed the birds, and the fucking squirrels are bothering his birds. So to distract the squirrels, he spreads peanut butter on the trees, as one does, as you do in your day-to-day life. He spreads peanut butter on trees. Now, the concern trolls, the people are like, oh my God, is that naturally organic, completely growing? What does peanut butter do to tree bark? You may be killing that hemlock. Like, those people came out of the woodworks to attack this guy. Thousands of comments about his peanut butter. Thousands of comments about his peanut butter. They won't leave him alone. And he's all about it now. This guy is all about it. Let's just start way back here somewhere. How far do we want to go back? He makes probably the best response video I've ever seen anybody make.
I've never put peanut butter in these 2. And when it rains, these get darker. The circles get darker around the rim there. They look really wet. I've never put... You talking about that one? That's intentional. See, the white-breasted nuthatch likes to stash things behind his house. And he likes to come walking down the tree nose first. I've seen him put his foot in that hole so many times, I just never put peanut butter in it. And if I put
just a man living his best life, right?
Get peanut butter all over his little feet. I don't want that.
He doesn't want his birds getting peanut butter on their feet. You understand this, man? He's just a man trying to live his best life. Leave him the fuck alone. You understand me? He's a man living his best life. Peanut butter in the trees. Leave him alone.
Here.
Look how close he is with these birds. See the peanut butter in the background?
Why are you yelling? Landed on my arm. You're tiny. Come here. You're a tiny chickadee. Come see me. Don't look. You got mad because I called you tiny. Well, you're like a grape with feet. You're one of the little ones.
He loves his birds, boys.
Hey, come here.
So it starts to blow up because obviously this is cool content with him with the birds or whatever. It starts to blow up, and that's when the concerned trolls come out.
You still have some peanut butter left. There's no way to be ready for this, but every evening at different times, a hummingbird comes into the carport and hovers in my face. I don't think I'll ever get that on video. Come here. I mean, I don't feed hummingbirds. Never really tried. I'm considering it. That nuthead's picking on my chickadee. I highly doubt that. Come here, babe. Come here. Come here. Come here. Jump. Jump, little bird.
Oh, yeah. He'd come in your house and peanut butter you up while you're not looking.
That happens in about 3 hours here.
All right, so we go to that. We get the peanut butter. He talks about his peanut butter recipe. The long-awaited secret peanut butter recipe for feeding squirrels reveal, and it's just a jar of peanut butter.
I see a brand name. I'm not sure why, but here's the brand name you're looking for.
So he does this full reveal video because people are asking about the peanut butter, right? So you can tell he's getting kind of sarcastic. He didn't start out sarcastic. He just loved his birds. You can tell this guy's getting pretty sarcastic. And I love it.
Look for the plastic tub. It says peanut butter on it. That's the one. Since we're just feeding squirrels on a tree, there's no real reason to be picky. Just pick any brand of peanut butter. I can't seem to find any of that stuff that the concern trolls talk about, you know, the ones that try to sound important and information that everyone knows of the artificially sweetened kind of peanut butter. You know, since we're putting peanut butter on a tree for squirrels, we have to hear about how it is fatal for dogs to eat it. Somebody made a comment, something about how people just spread peanut butter anywhere without thinking because her kid has a peanut allergy. Yes, pardon me for putting peanut butter on a tree in my yard. If your kid managed to find this tree with the peanut butter on it, I think the FBI should hire him.
It gets better. So he started out like this super sweet old guy that's like fucking got birds like eating out of his mouth and shit. Like he chews it up and then spits it in their beaks. And everybody's like, oh my God, we love this guy. Then he's like, if your fucking kid finds this tree, the FBI should fucking hire him. This is my tree in my fucking yard. Keep your allergic kid over there. Maybe you shouldn't have the genetics that could be killed with a strawberry and a fucking peanut, huh? Huh? Keep your shitty kid over there. It keeps getting worse. It gets worse and worse and worse. Where's the best one? There's one that's really fucking good. Where's it at? I don't think it's this one. Can you have someone record you buttering your trees for the squirrels? I need to show my parents the level of wealth I aspire to have in the future. So he makes this cinematic edit of him buttering the tree. I love this guy. Dude, it's so good. His name is Chicka D. So it's Chicka DDDS. CHICKA DDDS. All one word. Chicka D's. Chicka D's nuts. Sorry. I'm a 10-year-old boy at heart.
You want something out of here? Huh?
You want a nut?
Chippy food? I know you're not eating peanut butter. I can't respond to comments for 24 hours, I believe it is. I was responding to somebody, and I got that little message that popped up that said,
So this old man is getting fucking terms of service violations for being too mean to people in the comments.
Slow down.
They ruined this guy's life. He could have just had his birds and his peanut buttered tree and never come on the internet. They've drove him to this.
Coming in too fast. Take a break. Yeah, that's what happens when you have a video go kind of viral, and you're a person like me that tries to keep up with the comments best I can. Eventually they say you need to take a break and you're coming in too fast. Well, that's ironic since they're showing my peanut butter video like to 5,000 people an hour. I'm just trying to be a good creator, but that's all right. So, hey, you. Come here. Come here.
There's a really, really good one. Hold on. Xylitol and peanut butter. So the people are really pissed. They're really worried that a dog will find his tree. Where is that last video? All right, so we've skipped it here, but it's here somewhere. Hold on. Something in the water. Look at this cute dog. Diva birds. Okay, we watched those.
This is a male downy woodpecker. He's eating peanut butter off of the tree. We know this is a downy woodpecker eating peanut butter off of the tree because it is. You know that peanut butter that's artificially sweetened with xylitol can be fatal to dogs. Let's rehash what we've learned here. This is a downy woodpecker, a male downy woodpecker. He's eating peanut butter off of the tree. I just think people should know that xylitol can be fatal to dogs. Actually, you're just another concern troll trying to sound knowledgeable and important. You're not. This.
So they keep getting more and more petty. Where is the one that I watched earlier? As a fellow tree lover, I know I watched it earlier. Was it this one?
Hello, little bird. Come see me. Come here. Baby. Here.
There's one where he describes everything all in one video.
Jump. This is a...
Sorry, I should have shared the link, but I didn't.
I am convinced that there's something in our water. How in the world does anybody watch either one of my peanut butter on the tree videos and make a comment that I need to make sure it doesn't have xylitol in it? Don't you feel a little special right now? That's like watching a video about a car and then commenting, nails are bad for motorcycle tires. Xylitol is fatal to dogs. Well, keep your dog out of my yard. Do you have an app that analyzes peanut butter in a video? Does peanut butter have xylitol in it? Have you watched the peanut butter video all the way through? Did you see what kind of peanut butter I buy? You still have to make that comment? Honestly, I can only cater down to a certain level here, and then you're on your own in life.
All right, so that wasn't the one. There's an even better one, believe it or not. We're gonna have to go through these.
This is a blue 30 feet tall, but it comes in. It seems they get, buddy. It's 3 o'clock at 12. After something under here. Jump. Jump. Have you seen the new awesome? I just long. It's all. Hey, you.
I watched all these earlier.
Come here. Hey, little bird. Here.
I know it's here. Just give me a second.
Go.
And it's going to be a longer video, too.
A male downy woodpecker. Male downy woodpecker. Built to dogs. Actually. Just come here. Jump. Of a tree, seriously. You can see on this giant. Jump. Jump.
This bird might be breaking the law. Hold on.
Jump. Jump. Ooh, I like the way you're wearing that feather hat. Is that legal? Is that a songbird feather? Better not be. Jump. Ignore them. Jump.
Okay, that's not it. Where's it at? I know there's a good one here, chat. Just bear with me.
Yelling. Huh?
Damn it, I should have shared the link.
I heard the... Don't worry, I'm not feeding them. Come on. Quit talking to woodpeckers in front of chickadees. Come down and see me. Come here. There. Every...
Damn it. There's too many hand-feeding birds.
If I'm reading the migratory treaty update, so to speak, correctly from 2004, I'm allowed to pick up blue jay feathers. They're not a migratory bird in the United States. They live in the same place all their life. That's strange, since Mama Tot got in trouble for it, collecting them. Here's black egg. We still have some peanut butter left. Ready for this? And hovers in my face. And I don't feed hummingbirds. Jump, little bird.
Damn it, where's this video at? All right, give me a second.
Come in.
We're going to find it, I promise.
Please, sweet.
There's one that's so fucking good.
About this. If I wanted to buy the peanut butter with the xylitol in it, there's no it's harmful to dogs. Controls day. Come here, little bird.
Hold on, let's try this one.
Come here. Come here. Come. Imagine watching my peanut butter video and still not knowing what kind of peanut butter I put on this tree. I think there's about 1,000 people that could tell you. Come here, chickadee. Come here. Jump, little bird. Jump, little bird. Turn around, fluff ball. Yeah.
I might have to go by the most views because it was definitely recommended to me.
As long as you're not using that artificially sweetened whatever. Just think about this. If I wanted to buy the peanut butter with the xylitol in it, I would buy it, and there's nothing you could do about it. There's no comment you could make that would stop me. I'll tell you what. You can wonder. How about that? Jump, little bird. Is it that kind that's harmful to dogs? I don't know. I don't feed dogs. Oh, chickadee, come here. Jump, jump, jump.
I'm finding it right now, chat. Give me a minute.
Concern Trolls Day. Come here, little bird. Jump.
It's got to be on my watch history here.
I think you should watch more than the first 3 seconds before you comment. Hey, booger, come here. Come here. Come here. Come. Imagine watching my peanut butter video.
Give me just a second to find it.
What kind of peanut butter I put on this tree.
Okay, here we are.
About 1,000.
So the very first one of his I watched.
Come here, chickadee. Come here. Jump, little bird. Jump, little bird. Turn around, fluff ball. Yeah. But I still get that comment. As long as you're not using that artificially sweetened whatever. Just think about this. If I wanted to buy the peanut butter with the xylitol in it, I would buy it. And
can't do shit about it.
Do about it. There's no comment you could make that would stop me. I'll tell you what. You can wonder. How about that? Jump, little bird.
Give me just a second to go through my history and find it.
Dogs? I don't know. I don't feed dogs. I'm making a video.
We don't feed dogs, guys.
Chickadee, come here. Jump, jump, jump. How to ruin it.
Okay, I found it. I know what the title of it is. Here it is. It's this one. This is the most petty video I think I've ever seen anybody made. All right, stick with it, chat. Here we go.
This is a cat. You know it's a cat because it's not a dog. I'm sorry, there just seems to be some confusion on the internet about animals. I put peanut butter on a tree for squirrels. That drives people crazy. You want views? Involve peanut butter in your video. No matter how many times I do a peanut butter video, no matter how many ways I do it, no matter how sarcastic I am, no matter how much I call out these people that have to make the comment, as long as you're not using the peanut butter with xylitol in it, xylitol in peanut butter is fatal to dogs. So I put this on the tree for squirrels. Has there been some research with xylitol and squirrels that I'm not aware of? No? Are you like the last person on the internet to find this out and not realizing that you're the last person to find this out? You got to spread the information. I'm not even sure I can get more sarcastic about a peanut butter video and concerned trolls. I might try, though. This is a cat. You know it's a cat because it's not a dog. There seems to be some confusion on the internet about animals. I put peanut butter on a tree for squirrels. That drives people crazy. You want views?
Oh, it's so good, chat.
Your video. No matter how many times I do a peanut butter video, no matter how many ways I do it, no matter how sarcastic I am, no matter how much I call out these people that have to make the comment, as long as you're not using the peanut butter with xylitol in it, xylitol in peanut butter is fatal.
All right, here's the other one.
So I put this.
Share, copy link.
Has there been some research with xylitol and squirrels that I'm not aware
Sorry, I'm sending these to myself. Give me just a second.
Like the last person on the internet.
There's one more that's better than this one.
Not realizing that you're the last person to find this out. You got to spread the information. I'm not even sure I can get more sarcastic about a peanut butter video.
It has 492,000 views on it. Let's find it. Here it is. Lock in, chat.
Butter on the trees to give the squirrels something to do. They're already showing they're going to be a nuisance today. What kind of peanut butter are you using? I buy that kind in the plastic tub you see on the shelves at the grocery store. I sure hope that's just ground up peanuts. I buy that kind in the plastic tub you see on the shelves at the grocery store. The chemicals in peanut butter are bad for birds and squirrels. You just make that up to sound important. Do you use crunchy or smooth peanut butter? Well, now you're just trying to make conversation. I don't think the tree appreciates you doing that. I hope that's not that artificially sweetened peanut butter. Now, who eats that crap anyway? How do you know that's not bad for the animals? Better question. What is it inside of you that makes you actually type that comment? Type of peanut butter that you use? I buy that kind in the plastic tub you see on the shelves at the grocery store. Some peanut butter might be bad for animals. Oh, that's a shame. Go make your own video about it. Why don't you have any videos about anything? Gotta smear peanut butter on the trees. Squirrel something to do. They're already showing they're going to be a nuisance today. What kind of peanut butter are you using? I buy that kind in the plastic tub you see on
3 times I buy that kind in the plastic tub you see at the store.
I sure hope that's just ground up peanuts, nothing else. I buy that kind in the plastic tub you see on the shelf. The chemicals in peanut butter are bad for birds and squirrels. You just make that up to sound important. Do you use crunchy or smooth peanut butter? Well, now you're just trying to make conversation. I don't think the tree appreciates you doing that. I hope that's not that artificially sweetened peanut butter. Now, who eats that crap anyway? How do you know that's not bad for the animals? Better question. What is it inside of you that makes you actually type that comment? Is there a specific type of peanut butter that you use? I buy that kind in the plastic tub you see on the shelves at the grocery store. It might be bad for animals. Oh, that's a shame. Go make your own video about it. Why don't you have any videos about anything? Gotta smear.
And in the last video I leave you with, chat, always be suspicious when you're being paid orders of magnitude what you're worth by Russia to spread Russian talking points, or if you buy anything off Temu.
So I got this Temu lamp as a gift from my sisters, and I had it in my room, and I came home from work after the hot day and there was like hundreds of ants underneath it, and I was like,
ants,
why the fuck would ants want a fake croissant? And like, I'm almost wondering if this is a fucking literal real croissant covered in resin, because they were going in the holes. And anyway, I just poked a bigger hole. And
so it's a croissant lamp.
It like low-key looks like a fucking croissant under there. Hang on. Just going to...
Oh no.
Dude.
It's an actual fucking croissant. They poured resin on the outside, put a lamp base on the inside. It's an actual fucking croissant.
Dude, like...
that flaky texture. Look at there's all the bread still in it. Wonder why you got ants.
That looks like a fucking croissant. Are you actually joking me? Like, that looks like fucking pastry. Look at the crumbs. What the actual fuck, Temu? I guess there's one way to truly know. And that crumb just came out of there. It's literally fucking food.
No, Temu, no. All right, guys. Yeah. Sweet dreams. Enjoy this fucking night terror demon while you're froze in place and she's standing over your bed saying, "I'm only 23." And we'll see everybody in the next one. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for being here. It's been a tough couple of days. Anniversary of my dad's death, but thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. It makes me feel better to come on and stream. And we'll get back to our regular content after this. Thank you guys for joining us. So we'll see everybody in the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See ya. Bye.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the fork and balls to call out the people on this.
Oh, support the show while we're offline at coldbeer.fund.
Tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the fork and
Look at her in the background.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think
Well, bam. She looks just like that skull.
get lit, get the place in the best. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you
Kirk Lazarus.
and they say that I'm a lunatic.
Never stick your dick in crazy.
With a quick wit and a sixth sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshiping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging.
Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Fool in a thong. He's strapped to the shit.
Hopefully we'll be back to normal stuff over the next couple of days. I know I've been super late and avoiding topics and moving along, but we'll get back to it.
People, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk.
I can't believe it's already been a year, dude. Time goes by so fucking quick.
Did he get fucking superpowers? Here we go, I think I started some shit.
It's been 1 year today, or actually yesterday. 1 year yesterday, and then 9 months before that, it's when my mom passed away. A year and 9 months, they both died.
Piss him off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
My mom had a sleep apnea event, and then my dad, without consulting his doctor, stopped taking his blood thinner that he was supposed to be on for like life. But the Medicare specialist that called him told him that typically we only use those after a stent's put in, then we, wean people off of them. And he was having a bunch of free bleeding events, never talked to his heart doctor, and just quit taking it. That was it.
What? I'll get my files. What are you doing? Stop. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. My mom's an alcoholic. Give me oh my God. Damn it.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set.
Have a good night, guys.
Cause you ain't seen none yet.
See you on the next one.